Introduction. Happy closing ceremony. I'm sure you all enjoyed your weeks and days of celebrations. Let me very quickly run through a number of issues that I feel are important for everyone to understand. Firstly, we are celebrating because our currencies are now on the Forex. Secondly, we are celebrating because we now have our own world reserve currency, UVG, on the Forex. As of last night, phase 1 of our UV Forex is now fully operational to serve and save humanity. Phase 2 and 3 will come later, but even phase 1 is still good enough now to enable us to transform society for now. Phase 2 and 3 will come while we are already transforming the world upside down, downside up. We are celebrating because all our funds in IBOM and Community Bank are now fully active, alive, and transferable. Not long ago, we conducted our multi-millionaire graduations for several thousands of our faithful government clients, investors, whose funds have now become alive, active, and transferable. From last night till this morning, I was so thrilled listening to the special music coming from the bamboo flutes of singing choral groups from North, Central, and South Bougainville. Thank you for standing with me through thick and thin of the last 18 to 24 years. The joy of accomplishment is indeed unquenchable. No one can stop the joy that is bubbling up from within each of you for arriving in the promised land of milk and honey. As you all know our long struggle for freedom, independence, and sovereignty and civilization as a people started much earlier on with our own grandparents in the late 1800s and 1900s. Every language group has its own sovereign establishment to fight on until the very end. I don't have time and space to discuss the long struggle here and will leave it for another time. But here in Tonu and Chiwai, we had the Mumarure Association and the Pohirora World Bank established by our chiefs from North, Central, and South Bougainville. It was their vision for freedom, independence, and sovereignty and civilization. Mumarure's chiefs' struggle for freedom from the stranglehold of the colonial masters was mixed with the belief that the only way out of foreign control was for the long-awaited King Pei to return and rule over the island or nation again. As you all know, King Pei, or whatever name you call him in your language, lived in Papara in time immemorial. Traditional history confirms that when King Pei ruled from Papara, they had everything they needed in life. There was happiness, joy of the Lord, abundant life, life in all its fullness, and so on. Whatever they wanted or needed in life was readily made available to them. Example, when they planted taro or yam or other food in the soil, it would just produce in abundance and surplus at harvest time. Even just one little heap would fill up several baskets. In one day, all that became no more when the King Pei left the island and went away. I won't go through this part of our history because you already know about it. I'm only reminding us to put things into perspective. In 1922, for instance, our chiefs started gathering here in Tonu, Siwa to discuss and put into motion a universal strategy for ushering in and welcoming the return of the sovereign monarch or King Pei, Upei, as we call him now. In 1945, 46, 52, 58, and up to the 1980s, the chiefs continued meeting and discussing about their unique global strategy for welcoming back or ushering in the soon coming of the King Pei. Somehow, they already knew in their hearts and minds that the return of the long-awaited Savior or King or Messiah was just around the corner. That's why they renamed the association Pei-Muri Association in 1980 and registered it formally under the Papua New Guinea NIDA or IPA in November 1988 and received the recognition certificate in 1989, just in time or before the breakout of the Bougainville crisis or civil war. Isn't it wonderful? The timing was just perfect. The chiefs launched Pei-Muri Association to prepare the way and welcome the return of the long-awaited ruler of King Pei. Did they know that the king they had been waiting for since time immemorial was already born and living in their midst? Did they figure out that the long-awaited king was already growing in wisdom and stature right in their midst? Can you imagine that the chiefs were so adamant, so strong, and so firm in their belief that the king was now going to show up any day or moment from now? That's why they saw the importance of preparing the way for the king, just like John the Baptist was used to prepare the way forward for the coming of Yeshua 2,000 years ago. Civilization. You all know about the many criticisms, attacks, name-callings, etc. spun by those who are programmed to oppose us till the end. That's the law. Anything that we do cannot be strong enough until there is opposition. Without opposition, there's no victory. Even history tells us how Tantanu had to be strongly opposed by Papiahe in order for Tantanu to return to Papara and produce all kinds of food for us through the mystery of the clay pot. He had to be first opposed by his own elder brother, Papiahe. That's the mystery of our civilization. The bitter the opposition, the better. You have all seen or witnessed how bitter our opposition has been like. Even somewhere during the crisis of the Civil War, the BRA had to be opposed by the BRF in order to produce an amicable solution for all. After the Civil War, our island fell into two governments, the Mekamui and the ABG. Today, we have a more elaborate version of this with the Mekamui faction joining forces with the Kingdom of Papara and becoming the Twin Kingdom. The opposition is still there, being provided eloquently by the ABG. Although ABG is not a real government of Bougainville, it's still serving its purposes for the sake of providing the best opposition that can be. As an agency of PNG or foreign control, the ABG is used for the purposes of providing basic services, education, health, etc. to our people while we are setting up the real thing or the real sovereign government system and a real solution for all time. You all know how they mocked and ridiculed us for not being able to provide such services as they do, even though we explained to them that the services ABG was providing is not funded by ABG. They still could not understand and try to compare us negatively. ABG has no money, no currency, no central bank, no commercial bank, no monetary system of its own, no legality of its own, no army, no foreign affairs, no international trade agreements, etc. Because it's only a puppet agency of PNG, of foreign control, anyway. Everyone has now been brainwashed, to think that ABG is the real government with a solution for Bougainville, because it's providing services. But we all know that ABG does not have any real answer or solution for Bougainville. It's only an agency of PNG established to provide interim governance or services while we establish the real lasting sovereign kingdom, government, authority and system for the island. Anyway, I'm taking time to explain all this because the time has now come for us to begin taking over what is rightfully and legally ours. The island belongs to us, not to foreigners. God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Kupuna, Tantanu gave the island to our ancestors. He did not give it to some foreigners to control from foreign lands. So why would you continue to be funded and controlled by foreigners when you should be self-funded, self-governed, self-ruled, self-reliant, and self-sustained? These are the very reasons and more why King Pei Upe has come to be. He is here to make sure you are 100% free, independent, and sovereign, with your own sovereign government and system to live happily forevermore. Government versus opposition. In order to work out the importance or the size and the type of government you expect and rank have been setting up over around the world, one just have to see the kind of negative reports spun by the enemy. It's all over the internet. For instance, the media pretender in Papua New Guinea resolved in 2000 AD that it will fight US track system all the way to the very end. In other words, our opposition will continue to mock, ridicule, or oppose us all the way through until we have fully taken over. Of course, later the opposition will become like the stone tablet or statue of Papua for historical and cultural purposes only. Isolation civilization 18 years. Many of our critics accuse us for isolating ourselves here in Tondu City while the rest of the island or the world is progressing. They just cannot figure out nor understand the importance of temporary isolation. History confirms that time and again that every civilization begins in isolation. Without isolation, there's no civilization. Even all foreign civilizations we read about in the books, like Egypt, Babylon, Medes, Greeks, etc., all began in isolation. The founders had to first isolate themselves, knowingly or unknowingly, for some years, decades, or even centuries, to prepare things before coming out to conquer the rest of the world. It's no different in our case. From 1998 till 2005, these 7 years, I operated US track system outside of Tondu City. After getting approval letters from Bougainville Revolutionary leaders, French Honor and Joseph Cowboy, for Pembury chiefs to conduct a mediation reconciliation program between the 3 factions of PNG, Joseph Cowboy, and French Honor, I launched US track system on the streets of Port Moresby in 1998. In June 1999, when the Central Bank of PNG and its commercial banks began to freeze my accounts, I had no choice but to go to Australia. I then set up agency offices in Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, etc., etc. From Australia, I linked up to Fiji, Asia, Europe, USA, and the rest of the world. However, my headquarters in Australia had issues with the ASIC, Australian Securities Investments Commission, and I had to move on. Finally, on March 22, 2000, I was forced to depart Australia and return to PNG. Whilst in PNG, I set up many things for my clients, but the opposition was also very strong. As said above, the media pretender made a decision to fight US track all the way to the end, very end. That was a formal decision that is still current as we chat today. In 2002, I opened up Reserve Bank of Papala in downtown Port Moresby. I employed about 30 administrators and 20 bankers to start with. We were in the process of setting up ATMs, etc., when the Central Bank of PNG and the police attacked us using laws of PNG. They forcefully confiscated and impounded all our computers, records, and files, client lists, etc., at gunpoint. Though we are not criminals, they still came with guns to confiscate our belongings and possessions. That forced me to come back to Bougainville and Solomon Islands. On 24 December 2002, we launched RANG, Royal Assembly of Nations and Kingdoms, in the cabinet room of the Solomon Islands government. From Honiara, I came back to Bougainville, where I resided with our late King French Honor for another 2 years and signed our joint proclamations of the Twin Kingdom of Papara and Mekamoy. I'm just outlining all this to stress the fact that I was finally forced to return to my own Tondu City and set up office here at the old cattle farm of Major on 24th or 25th November 2004. According to the mysteries I was following, I had to be exactly 40 years of age when I landed here in Tondu City. That was my own mysteries, which I don't have much time to discuss for now. Since then, I have not moved out of Tondu City. I've been here for 18 years now. I purposely isolated myself here so that I would find time to set out the new global governing system. It's only now, after completing the formative years and conducting the appropriate graduations, etc., that I am now ready again to reach out to the suffering world out there. 18 years in isolation is not something that anyone can, in the modern world, can think of. No one can survive 18 years in total isolation. Can you imagine that? According to those in the opposition, we lost fight when we isolated ourselves from society. Every time I read or hear about the comments that NM will never make it because he has already lost the battle by isolating himself, I just laugh it away. They don't understand that we've been preparing all this time. What we've been preparing all this time. Even 2,000 years ago, when Yeshua came to earth, Israel, he spent 18 years in isolation before he commenced his ministry at the age of 30. At 12 years, he was seen in the temple arguing. Thereafter, there's no mention of him until 18 years later when he launched his ministry. So our 18 years of isolation is so significant, sound, powerful, and biblical. Even over the past couple of years, whilst we were graduating our multi-millionaires and billionaires, our critics were mocking us. They thought that we were just a bunch of lunatics who were wasting our time conducting graduations in isolation. Everything we did during our period of isolation has been mocked and ridiculed by those who live in PNG, ABG controlled areas. It's impossible for them to see things from our angle because they are not with us. They must see things from their angle and mock us until we deliver our promises of goods and services, payouts, money, funding, infrastructure development, etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, that time has now come. Our time for isolation is over. Whilst in isolation, we have set up everything that mankind needs to be happy, joyful, or victorious, and successful in life. Of course, everything that we set up is too big for most people to grasp. But regardless of whether or not they understand it, we are now 100% ready to go out from Tunnel City and transform the world around us. Why? Because we are now prepared very well. And as said many times, we will surely turn the world upside down and downside up with the power of the word, our funding, and our system. After 18 years of isolation, we are now going out with the following things. 1, a new monetary system based on principles of abundance and surplus that will replace the old system of lack and scarcity. 2, a new banking system consisting of 24 world banks. 3, a new currency system consisting of 40 asset-backed currencies. 4, a new world reserve currency, UVG. 5, a new financial system. 6, a new economic system. 7, a new trade system. 8, a new commerce system. A new political system or the original theocracy. 9, a new global governing system, run Royal Assembly of Nations in Kingdoms. And 11, a new kingdom government, Kingdom of Papara, Kingdom of Mekamui, a twin kingdom of Papara and Mekamui. 12, a new global calendar. Our calendar is unique and better than the conventional Roman or Gregorian calendar given to us during colonization. Ours is much more easy to use because every month has just 30 days except for the last month or final month, which is 35 or 36 days, depending on whether it's a new leap year or not. Even scientifically speaking, our calendar is better than the present Roman Gregorian calendar. 13, a new global army. While on the other, all the other nations have defense forces or armies fighting or preparing to fight, slaughter or defend each other, we are going out with a totally new form of army called the Royal International Peace Force. We are not here to go out and kill someone or engage in bloodshed. No, no, no. Our army is specially trained and qualified to bring total peace to all nations and kingdoms of the world. 14, a new education system. The present education system has made our kids look for jobs in the cities, and if they cannot find jobs, they end up becoming rascals or criminals or street beggars or homeless. 15, a new workers program that will do away with the present unemployment problem in the world. You all know that the US has 50 million plus unemployed people. In other words, unemployment is a product of a system. Only a new system can do away with unemployment. No one, no government, no nation, no kingdom, no organization, no whosoever has been able to remove unemployment from the equation of a modern world. However, we have the solution because the harvest is always plentiful, but the workers are few. In our system, there is no unemployment because everyone has something to do for which the king will be just too happy to support and fund. 16. A new legal and judicial system. We are going out with a totally new global legal system. You all know that laws are basically made by world financiers and controllers. They impose the terms and conditions on politicians who merely act as rubber stamps to approve and sign them into existence. For example, in 1995, our UPNG students from Waigani campus protested against the World Bank and IMF for imposing 57 conditions on Papua New Guinea. Parliament was forced not to accept the conditions. However, sooner or later, when things cooled down, Parliament just approved the 57 conditions on voices. There was no protest whatsoever. This clearly proves my point that laws are made by world financiers and lenders who merely imposed it upon their puppet politicians to approve into existence. And 12. A new media information communication system. Our media information communication system is very powerful. We set it up over the past 18 years of our isolation such that when we reach out, we will also transform the world programs, evangelizations, education programs, social media programs, etc., etc. Even conventional media forms, we will just buy them off and turn them into our own. We have the money to do so. 18. There are so many others that I can mention here today, but you all know what I'm talking about because you've been here with me for the past 18 to 24 years. Power of no other way. You all know the problems that humanity faces around the world. Bougainvilleans are not the only ones that have been fighting, struggling for freedom, independence, and sovereignty. It's a problem that predates our colonization. We are only aware of the present situation surrounding us, but everyone in the world is looking or searching for answers and solutions. After searching the world many years and for decades, I came to the conclusion that there is no solution whatsoever in the governments, the churches, the religions, the beliefs, the interpretations, doctrines, etc. that have been in existence here too. Everyone, including our colonizers, have huge problems that they have not solved themselves. For example, when I traveled to the United States in 1995, I was expecting to see the solution for all street begging, unemployment, lawlessness, crime, homelessness, etc. happening in Port Moresby. But to my surprise, I saw that there were even more homeless people, street beggars, unemployed and dissatisfied people there on the streets of America. The gap between rich and poor was even more defined on the streets of New York, where on one side of the streets there were thousands of poor people, and on the exact opposite there were also thousands of rich people. I began to ask all kinds of questions to myself. I realized that if I don't do something different to save my people of PNG, Bougainville, our future would be the same. Since we are following our colonizers and depending on their funding programs, we will be just like them. Since there is no solution in America, the world's biggest superpower nation, where else can I look to for the solution? By the time I came back to PNG, my mind had already changed. I told myself there's no solution anywhere in the world. There will always be problems, huge unemployment, homelessness, crime, suicide, bloodshed, wars, crisis, conflict, religious feud, sickness, disease, deaths, etc., etc. No country has ever been able to find the solution. Therefore, I told myself I will set up a new sovereign universal governance system that will never lack in anything. There will be no unemployment, not even one. There will be no homelessness, not even one. There will be no street begging, not even one. There will be no suicide, and not even one. So I set out to establish and launch the US tax system in 1998. After 7 years, I was forced by external forces to come back home to my own birthplace and launched the system here. Therefore, you all know that we launched the USTEC system on the 7th of January 2005 here. From November 2004 to today, 2022 Roman calendar, it's exactly 18 years. And so I'm so glad to say that my 18 years of preparation and training is now over. The launching of our currency on the Forex and the launching of our own world reserve currency is the ultimate in our long process of establishment. Today, I'm merely announcing the good news. Although the whole world is already seeing and exchanging our currencies on the Forex, I'm only announcing it more formally and more officially now. In this way, no one can say that I'm just making mouthwater, because I'm talking about something that has already become a physical reality. It's no longer in the future, it's now present, and it's happening, and it's current now. I have to close off here now and let you go in peace. But before I let you go, let me just answer some direct questions I received from some people the other day. Someone asked me, now that UVG Forex is uploaded and operational, can I take my BBK notes to BSP Bank in Alawa and deposit it there? Answer, not yet, because BSP is a PNG national bank. It's not a Bougainville bank yet. BSP operates under the control of the Central Bank of PNG. It gets its instructions directly from Central Bank of PNG. Therefore, you can't just take your BBK notes and deposit it into the BSP account. What we will do is simply convert or exchange your BBK into PNG Kina and send it to your bank account in PNG. Simple. Another question asked by someone was, can I go to the bank, IBOM or Combank, and withdraw cash BBK today after your speech? My answer, today is already late. There won't be enough time after my speech for normal banking. However, I'm certain that everyone here has some BBK in his or her pocket. Use that to buy things in BBK for the time being. There's no need to rush until our external trade with Solomon Islands begins. Arrangements are already in place for the establishment of currency exchange houses in Honiara, in Shortlands, in Mono, in Choiseul, in Giso, and Noro. For this week only, our Honiara currency exchange house will be operational. And from the weekend or next week onwards, the other currency exchange houses will be ready and operational in the locations mentioned above. Please confirm with the government or the Crown's office as to which currency exchange houses are operational before you leave the shores of Bougainville. Another person asked about his MasterCard, Nano cards, gold cards, etc. The answer is that now that our UVG Forex is up and running, we will arrange with our international people to bring the MasterCards and all others to us. Just give us time to organize it. 4. Another person asked whether we can start buying or trading in BBK at the shops. My simple answer is that BBK is already a legal tender currency in Tondo City and Kingdom of Papala. Since August 29, 2013, we've been trading in BBK. We are only taking it to the next level by trading with Solomon Islands. As Bougainville businessmen go to Solomon Islands and purchase cargo and bring home all cargo to sell in the shops to be traded in BBK. Anything you buy from SI, they buy from SI is tradable in BBK. Those that you bought from PNG will still be sold for PNG, but anything we buy from Solomon Islands must be sold for BBK. In fact, as soon as the first Bougainville businessmen go and return from Solomon Islands with the cargoes, I will give a 3-month ultimatum or the time limit for PNG Kina. That means you must bring your PNG Kina and convert it into BBK within the stipulated time of 3 months. After the 3 months, we will no longer accept the PNG Kina in the kingdom, in Mekamui and throughout Bougainville. You can go to PNG on your own and exchange it to BBK there. For now, before the first businessmen go to Solomon Islands, I would only advise that you use your discretion in using your BBK. We plan to send the first Bougainville businessman to Honiara over the weekend, or the Gregorian weekend, if not early next week, depending on the arrangements being done by our ticketing experts dealing with Soler. As soon as they return from SI and start selling the cargo in BBK, that's when the 3-month ultimatum for PNG Kenya will begin. I hope you got the point. It's important to note that as of last night, as our currency began trading on the Forex, our ranked affiliate countries, nations, governments, and kingdoms like Solomon Islands and many others have been contacted and updated. After my announcement today, they will begin to mobilize and start trading, exchanging, converting, and swapping their respective currencies with ours. The minimum for trade from or by any affiliate round government is 10 to 100 million US dollars in their respective currencies. Therefore, although our currency is now already on the Forex, my best advice is to wait for the first Bougainville businessman to travel to Honiara or Choiseul or Shortlands and return in the coming days. After they return with the cargoes, you can start using your BBKs to buy things. In the meantime, you can still use your BBKs with arrangement just as you've been doing it up to now. Secondly, let's allow our affiliate governments and nations to start trading, exchanging, converting, and swapping the currencies explained above. They will start immediately after my announcement today. 9. Of course, in the meantime, for those Bougainvilleans who still need PNG Kenya, you can make arrangements with the government and I can convert your BBK to PNG Kenya online. However, I do not encourage this option very much because I want us to concentrate on BBK and Solomon Dollar only for now. Only in emergency cases will the Royal World Bank be converting BBK to PNG Kenya. Of course, PNGN governors will be treated differently when they return to PNG. The Royal World Bank will simply be converting the currencies online and sending to their bank accounts in PNG. But while they're here in Bougainville, they will be treated the same way as any other Bougainvilleans, meaning that only in emergencies will we be converting their BBK to PNG. Once they are confirmed to travel or return to PNG, the Royal World Bank will convert the BBKs and send to their accounts so they may access their funds on arrival. Another question asked by some people: what is the exchange rate now between BBK and PNG Kenya? My answer is that our engineers use 2 sets of instructions, one from the conventional exchange rates API and one from our Royal World Bank. The exchange rates showing on the UVG Forex for all conventional currencies like PNG Kenya, Aussie dollar, US dollar, etc. are taken from the conventional API, while the exchange rates showing on our 40 currencies are those taken from our Royal World Bank value system, which are based on our world reserve currency or UVG. Therefore, if you are confused with some exchange rates, do not be disheartened because we are still fine-tuning little things. The important thing is to know that our UVG Forex is now trading officially, formally, and practically, and the whole world is viewing it. A conclusion. Let me now conclude my short speech by simply announcing to the world that 1. UVG and our world reserve currency is now fully in place and operational. May the nations and kingdoms of the world begin to trade and exchange their currencies using our sovereign platform. 2. That all our 40 asset-backed currencies are now fully in place and operational. May the peoples of the world start trading and using our currencies and bring relief upon their lives forevermore. 3. That as of today, our external trade program between Solomon Islands and Bougainville is now fully in place and operational. You will all prove it when our first Bougainville businessmen go to Solomon Islands in the next couple of days to convert and purchase goods, stock goods with Solomon Islands dollars, converted BVK, which they will share to you in our national currency, BVK. That as of today, even the remaining PNG governors residing in Tondo City will now be allowed to return with their converted funds. And finally, for the international clients who are watching now, who have been helping us here too, if you're watching this video and listening to my words, I guarantee you that all your funds in IBOM are now also alive, active, and transferable. For those who have signed memorandums of understanding to support our cause of the UVG Forex, I thank you and assure you that everything will be done just as explained in the memorandums. We are all working together as a family, regardless of whether you are in Bougainville, in PNG, in Solomon Islands, in Fiji, in Australia, in New Zealand, in America, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, or wherever. We are one big family. Finally, let me just state in conclusion that the universe is my Garden of Eden. Secondly, the universe is my bank account. Therefore, be assured that our contracts, agreements, treaties, memorandums, covenants, and seals will hold us together as one big family, tied together to become the solution or answer to all the world's problems. Thank you.